It is 2000 hours. It is time for the main news on this beautiful Africa Day, a day to celebrate a rich heritage, diversity, progress, and resilience.
Indeed, Irene, marking the 63rd anniversary of achieving the Africa that we want. And of course, my name is Nyasha Mabwe with Susan Masona on the sign language desk. First, to take a look at the stories making the headlines.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa rallies African countries to share water bodies to propel the continent's development.
In business, Zimbabwe Industrialization Conference and Expo to drive economic modernization.
And in sport, 2026, the Unity Cup kicks off in the United Kingdom this Tuesday, with Zimbabwe playing Nigeria. Those are the headlines. It's now time to look at the news in detail.
Now, our first story, the President, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, has rallied African countries to share water bodies to propel the continent's development without any hindrance. The head of state was addressing the nation on the occasion of the 63rd Africa Day anniversary. Now, our chief correspondent, Ruben Barre, filed that report.
Water is a very vital cog for development. And as Africa celebrates the founding of the OAU, which is the African Union today, it is time to reflect on the importance of this water resource. It is a place where we get water to water our crops. It is a place where we get fish. It is a place also for entertainment, as we see here. So water is very important for the development of the African continent. And the president underscored the importance of water in the developmental matrix of the continent.
63 years ago today, leaders of Africa met in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to create the Organization of African Unity, OAU, the predecessor to the African Union we have today. The 39th African Union Summit held in Addis Ababa this past February had a theme, and I quote, "Assuring sustainable water availability and achieving safe sanitation systems to realize the goals of Agenda 2063, end of quote." The president, Comrade Emmerson Dambozo Mnangagwa, on the same theme spoke of the importance of water and water bodies in the drive to Africa's economic growth as the continent celebrates 63 years of its founding.
Water is an essential resource and the lifeblood of our continent's development aspirations. From the mighty Nile River to the Zambezi River, from Lake Kariba and Lake Victoria to the aquifers beneath the Kalahari and the Sahara deserts, water has shaped our civilizations, sustained our peoples. It shall continue to determine our future. Access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene is a basic human need for health and well-being. Additionally, water remains a critical ingredient to Africa's quest for industrialization, job creation, and overall economic growth. Notably, however, water demand is rising owing to rapid population growth, urbanization, and increasing water needs from agriculture, industry, and energy sectors.
President Mnangagwa urged all the people of the continent, 1.2 billion of them, to begin to see an Africa of shared water basins as shared national assets driving peace, trade, integration, and political stability of the continent.
It envisions a continent where there is universal access to safely managed water and sanitation services, even in emergency situations. Regrettably, We are witnessing unprecedented disruptions to our hydrological cycles. Droughts and floods have increasingly become persistent features in many of our communities. We must fundamentally shift our paradigm to recognize water as a strategic economic asset. Water is intrinsically linked to food security, energy production, and ecosystem health. Currently, agriculture accounts for 73.4% of Africa's water withdrawals, yet we utilize only 5% of our irrigation potential. Similarly, our energy ambitions depend on water security, with only 15 to 30% of Africa's hydropower potential tapped. We have the opportunity to light up and industrialize our continent while creating millions of jobs.
The president said Zimbabwe reaffirms her commitment to Pan-Africanism, solidarity and advancement of the African Continental Free Trade Area, and the youths of this country should embrace the values of patriotism, loyalty, discipline, and hard, honest work, environmental stewardship, so as to build and industrialize Zimbabwe and Africa.
Ruben Barwas, ZBC News, State House, Harare.
Meanwhile, the continent celebrated Africa Day this Monday as African nations commemorated the formation of the then Organization of African Unity on the 25th of May 1963. The day celebrates Africa's liberation journey, unity, culture and aspirations under Agenda 2063. Now this year, leaders are also placing focus on water and sanitation, mineral beneficiation, trade integration and peace building as critical pillars towards achieving the Africa we want.
The music, the dance, the culture and the traditions is what defines Africa, a continent that has experienced much but has learned that in unity comes prosperity. It was on this very day in 1963 that the then Organization of African Unity was formed to battle colonialism, oppression and inequality. Today, under the banner of the African Union, the continental body is pushing for development, integration, unity, coherence, with one single goal in mind: to develop Africa and silence the guns across the African continent.
We reaffirm our unwavering commitment to the aspirations of Agenda 2063 and to building the Africa we want. Africa Day is both a celebration of our shared heritage and a recognition of Africa's growing role in shaping global affairs. Guided by the spirit of Ubuntu, I am because we are.
During the 39th Summit of Heads of State and Government in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in February this year, African leaders agreed that water and sanitation play a critical role in the sustainable development agenda of the African continent. Speaking with ZBC News, diplomats accredited to Zimbabwe concur that water and sanitation play a critical role in development and building resilient communities.
If you refer to this year's theme, to do with water and sanitation, and link it with communities. So, first of all, whatever we try to achieve as Africans. We want our communities to benefit, but they cannot benefit if they are not actively participating. So for communities, youth, to be able to contribute meaningfully, you start with policymakers. Policymakers to create an enabling environment that allows others to do their job.
The issue of water security actually is one that is a concern for the region as a whole. And I think governments are putting their efforts together to see how they can collectively overcome this issue.
Africa's natural wealth continues to present opportunities and challenges, and increasingly, African governments are calling for the beneficiation of these natural resources. Recently, Zimbabwe moved to ban the export of raw minerals, and countries such as Zambia and Angola are also pushing for this move.
If we leverage on safeguarding our resources with the unit and self-reliance, we are going to achieve what we have aspired for. Self-reliance calls for sustainable investment in people.
Africa is endowed with so many resources, but Africa remains poor. It's a question that we need to really address, and it's an area that we can leverage, because what the world requires in terms of minerals is on the African soil.
The key challenge is transforming these resources into value-added products through industrialization and regional cooperation. And African countries should strengthen regional value chains, improve infrastructure, and transport connectivity, and support local industrialization.
As Africa celebrates 63 years of unity, resilience, and progress, the continent's vision remains clear: a united Africa committed to development and success as it takes its place on the global stage. Olin Ndori, ZBC News, Harare.
The Museum of African Liberation, which is under construction in Harare, resembles Africa's pride in controlling its destiny and shaping its developmental narrative.
There is no better time to be African than today. That is according to the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of African Knowledge, INSTAC, Ambassador Kwame Muzawazi, who is constructing the iconic Museum of African Liberation, which is said to become the nexus of the continent's history for liberation. As we mark Africa Day today, he joins us to give us insight as to the relevance of this day in relation to the project that is undertaken. Just tell us, why do you think that is the right time to be African today?
There is no better day, no better period to be African than today. Increasingly, Africa is leading in key international institutions, commanding the greatest of respect. Look at the World Health Organization, look at the World Trade Organization, key organizations in the world being led by a black person. Under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, Africa is leading in the rewriting of the African story through key institutions like the Museum of African Liberation, the Africa Factbook, and taking the Pan-African agenda to another level. The story of Africa must be told by the African. The saying, Nika inovakwa neve nevayo, can also be translated to say a story must be told by its own people.
This place, the Museum of African Liberation, also resembles the African unity as demonstrated by the more than 50 African flags which are here. And as we celebrate African Day, indeed, there is no better time to be African than today. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, as the country commemorates Africa Day, churches are also joining in on the celebrations by promoting cultural identity, unity and development values in communities. Let's get more in the following reports.
Dressed in colorful African attire and showcasing various cultural displays, members of the Worldwide Family of God Church joined the Africa Day commemorations through a dedication and thanksgiving service celebrating the continent's heritage, unity and identity.
We are celebrating a very important day, the day in which we are coming to celebrate Africa, dedicate it and pray to it.
The first thing that we need to understand as Africans is that God, when He made us Africans, that He gave us a wonderful piece of real estate and He gave us resources.
Unity can be born through ideologies, but it can only be sustained through our devotion to God.
The church's leader, Archbishop Andrew Taunashe, said preserving cultural identity is important in fostering self-reliance.
The reason we are celebrating today, the day the nations of Africa came together with an agenda to liberate the countries. And then build the nation.
Guest of honor at the event, Colonel retired Resten Magumise from the Chitepo School of Ideology, said African countries should invest in training young people to become patriotic.
The ideological school system should be the lifeline of institutions in Africa, our countries, our churches.
As Africa reflects on its journey and future aspirations, the church is also an important platform for nurturing identity, unity, and patriotism.
In separate messages to their congregations, religious leaders said Africa Day should be a moment of reflection on the continent's cultural heritage, challenges, and shared future.
Izuva rekurangarirawo vamwe vedu, the vulnerable communities, kana ndada kushana chirungu, vulnerable communities. Avo vanazo vorangarira asina.
Isusu sezvitendero kuti tikabatana as Africans munomu tinoita madevelopment akanyanyisa tisingaite mwe zvake zvake. Saka Africa Day izuva rakakosha rokuti vanhu vese vabatana kubva ma-leaders enyika dzese Africa tikabatana, then isusu vemachechi tichitedza tobatana.
Africa Day painozotanga hatingaende kunotangira kunyika dziri kure. Panotangira Africa Day panotangira kubva munhu ari mumimba yaamai vake, nekuti ndo paunotanga kufidwa uri mudumbu wosunungu wonzi makorokoto. Wapo tine tsika yatinofanira kunge takabatana sefamily, vana vemhuri imwe chete tobatana takutanga kutaura Africa makereke poteredze nyika yese.
Meanwhile, renowned sculptor David Mutasa, who crafted the iconic Mbuyane statue, highlighted the importance of paying homage to African spirit mediums.
Zvakakosha sepachiwanhu chedu kuti tiremekedze wanhu wakaita fanika wana Mbuyane wakatitungamirira muhondo yechimurenga. Nyika irambe yakatonhora, avo vanhu zvechiwanhu izvi zvinotonhodza nyika.
Despite differences in doctrine and practice, the leaders agreed on 3 priorities for the continent: unity across religious lines, protection of African values, and economic self-reliance.
The President, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, has extended his condolences to the Masadira family following the death of the opposition Labour economist and African Democrats Party leader Linda Masadira yesterday. In a statement, Dr. Mnangagwa described the death of Masadira as a great loss to her family, to the women of Zimbabwe, and to the nation at large. He described her as a bold and outspoken voice in Zimbabwe's political and civic space, who consistently advocated for dialogue, constitutionalism, and national unity at a time when the country needed sober voices. President Mnangagwa said Masadira was particularly fearless in defending the sovereignty of Zimbabwe and her contributions to progressive civic engagement and to shaping a national narrative centered on unity, peace, and development. He added that through her work in civil society, in the media and in political platforms such as the Political Actors Dialogue, demonstrated that Zimbabweans of diverse political backgrounds can disagree without being enemies and can work together for the common good. Masarira died yesterday at Parinyatwa Group of Hospitals. Mourners are gathered at 12 Alley Avenue, Greencroft, Harare.
Now, the Bulawayo community this Monday took time to bid farewell to national hero Brigadier General retired Donald Silundi Chuma, who died on the 15th of this month after a long illness.
A somber atmosphere filled the amphitheater this Monday, where scores of people gathered to pay their final respects to the late national hero, Brigadier General retired Donald Chuma. Family members and relatives wept as they paid their final respects, underscoring the personal loss behind the national tribute.
To the military fraternity, who was a dependent blue commander and the respected comrade in arms.
My dad was a quiet man, not the kind who filled rooms with noise or demanded attention. He didn't need many words to be understood. Instead, he spoke through presence, through consistency, through sacrifice, through the steady way he showed up for us day after day.
Government officials remembered the late national hero as a dependable soldier who played a key role in the liberation of the country.
I stand before you with a deep sense of grief as we pay our final respects to a patriot who selflessly answered the call of duty and left an indelible mark on our nation's history.
Sizizwa sihlonishwe kakhulu siphakanyisiwe ukubana nathi silo muntu obelemsebenzi emkhulu kakhulu oze wananzelelwa wanikwa isicoco sokuba yi-national hero.
For many, the end-of ceremony was a reminder that the liberation struggle was won by the discipline and the resolve of cadres like the late national hero.
Siyamhlonipha ikosikhona khona. Ngakwa ungasiyochuma labanye ngeke ngisosenetha mina.
Bangwachipanga but bangwachipanga sisi. Laba bantu babehlala ama 7-8 days or 2 weeks bengadlanga besithi aba.
Nguye owangivusa ebuthongweni be-colonization, ebuthongweni bokucindezelwa ngabokuza.
On Tuesday, the body of the late national hero will be flown to Charles Gobo Barracks in Harare to lie in state ahead of burial set for Wednesday. Lisa Correa, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Zimbabwean students studying in Russia have been challenged to use the knowledge and skills they are acquiring in Russia to contribute towards Zimbabwe's industrialization, innovation and economic transformation agenda under the Second Republic.
The call was made by Information Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services Minister Honorable Tatenda Mavetera during an engagement with Zimbabwean students studying at various institutions in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, on government scholarships and self-funded programs. The meeting was held on behalf of Vice President General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, who was leading Zimbabwe's delegation at the prestigious CIPR conference. The students pursuing studies in fields including medicine, engineering, information technology, and other strategic disciplines were encouraged to remain focused and committed as Zimbabwe continues investing in human capital development to drive national progress.
You are here as a strategic investment by the people of Zimbabwe. The expectations are high, but so is our confidence in you. Focus on your studies, maintain discipline, and prepare yourselves to return and build. Government will play its part to ensure that when you come back home, the environment is ready to absorb your skills and ideas.
Some of the students expressed gratitude to government for the opportunity to study abroad, pledging to use their education to contribute towards national development upon completion of their studies.
I'm a first-year student studying international relations in world politics. For example, the sanctions, I was also hoping that I can also, through international relations, I can also help the government of Zimbabwe to maybe address the issue in the international programs.
I'm studying my last year master's in business coaching. Mainly, like our economy in Zimbabwe, right? That literate when it comes to the digital world. So no one is focus on how we'll be educating them. It's more of education of adults.
I am studying oil and gas engineering. I decided to take this program because I felt with the way the economy is working, everything is more based on the energy sector. So this would help us as Zimbabwe grow better.
The engagement comes at a time when Zimbabwe is intensifying efforts to harness science, technology and innovation as key drivers of economic growth and industrial transformation under Vision 2030. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Nation Novgorod.
The Harare City Council has commended the government for leading and supporting initiatives meant to improve service delivery in the capital.
Speaking at the second Provincial Development Committee meeting held in the capital recently, Harare Acting Town Clerk Advocate Warren Chiwawa cited several programs such as the prepaid smart water system, which is being done by Helcro Water, as some of the transformative projects positively impacting the city.
The City of Harare, in partnership with Helcro Water, is aggressively targeted non-revenue water reduction by installing 30.1 kilometers of new PVC pipes to replace aging asbestos cement infrastructure. Key network upgrades have already been successfully completed in residential and commercial hubs, including Warren Park, Lugare, Avondale, Ashton Park, Workington. As we look to the future with optimism, our province recently suffered a severe setback. We are all aware of devastating fire outbreak that once again raged through the Glenview 8 area, bombing as complex, decimating livelihoods, destroying high-value entrepreneurial capital, and disrupting a critical economic engine. I'm pleased to report that following the proactive and strategic guidance received from the Office of the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, the City of Harare has officially written to the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works. In this communication, we've requested urgent state intervention, robust fiscal backing, and technical partnership for the complete reconstruction and comprehensive modernization of the Glenview bombing industry.
Recently in Highfield, where government is building durable and suitable market stores for traders, residents registered their pleasure on how government can sustain service delivery going forward.
Tikuvakirwa mafactory, tikuvakirwa migwagwa, tikuitwa zvakawanda. Nechikonzero chekuti vana vedu vadiki vawane pekushandira.
Vision 2030 tikuisapota zvakanyanya. Toda kuti mabasa kuvana, mabasa kumadzimai.
Takatarisana nevision 2030 nezvatakapromiswa napresident vedu. Tiri kuona kuti munyika muri kuitwa mukutorwa matanho ekuti isusu tienderere mberi. Tuwane pekushandira pakanaka.
In the Central Business District of Harare, the Ministry of Home Affairs has identified a partner who is installing citywide cameras and biometric databases to adopt a surveillance system in line with modern standards as part of efforts to improve service delivery.
For more news, you can always log on to our website at www.zbcnews.co.zw. You can also visit our X handle at ZBC News Online, YouTube, as well as the Facebook page. It is ZBC News Online.
And our stories are still to expect in the bulletin. Zimbabwe Industrialization Conference and Expo to drive economic modernization. And in sport, 2026, a Unity Cup kicks off in the United Kingdom this Tuesday, with Zimbabwe playing Nigeria. Main News takes a break. We will be back. Some more updates.
always known what it takes to grow. But this is what it feels like to finally step inside the dream. It's that quiet moment when a room holds everything it used to be and everything it made possible. That this is actually mine feeling when the first payment hits. That pure adrenaline from a small space to an empire you rule. And when you said you'd almost sleep in your first car, we made sure you actually did. Plans may adapt, circumstances will evolve, but your growth, that's non-negotiable. Bank on growth with Stanbic Bank Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is our home, and we drive her growth.
Stanbic Bank is a registered commercial bank and a member of the Deposit Protection Scheme.
The Minister of Information, Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services, Honorable T.A. Mavetera, the Deputy Minister, Honorable D. Puti, the Permanent Secretary, Dr. B. Chirume, the Chief Director, Mr. P. Sibanda, directors and staff of the ministry join the nation and the rest of the continent in commemorating Africa Day, a significant milestone that reminds us of our shared history, rich cultural heritage, and collective aspirations as Africans. As we celebrate this important day, let us strengthen collaboration towards building a digitally connected and united Africa where every citizen has the opportunity to live, work, and prosper. The ministry remains committed to leveraging information and communication technologies, ICTs, as a catalyst for socio-economic development and to promoting an inclusive, innovative, and equitable future for all Africans. Happy Africa Day, Zimbabwe. God bless Africa.
The countdown begins. Zimbabwe hosts the SADC joint meeting of ministers responsible for agriculture, food security, fisheries, and agriculture in Victoria Falls, advancing regional focus on food and nutritional security across all SADC member states. Save the date, 26 to 29 May 2026, hosted at Safari Lodge, Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. Food security everywhere, every day.
Pinda makwikwi eShumba Plus Raw and Ride promotion nasi. Monokwanisa kuwina mitututu, magejo nepombi dzekupirikisa pese pamunotenga ma 200 grams matanatu kana ma 500 grams matatu eShumba Plus Stars. Promotion iyi iri kuitwa kubva musi wa 1 kubvumbi kusvika musi wa 31 Nyamavhuvhu kuzvitoro zvinotengesa zvekurima nekurimisa zvakasarudzwa nyika yose. Terms and conditions apply.
The Minister of Lands and Rural Development, Honorable Vangelis Peter Haritatos, Deputy Minister Honorable Tsitsi Zhou, Permanent Secretary Professor Prosper Matondi, and the entire ministry staff joined the President, His Excellency Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, and the nation in commemorating Africa Day. We are poised to drive transformative land administration and sustainable rural development, accelerating the attainment of Vision 2030 by unlocking the full potential of Zimbabwe's land to deliver prosperity, productivity, and inclusive growth for all citizens. The Ministry of Lands and Rural Development. Our land, our prosperity.
Welcome back. You are still watching the main news. Leaders meeting at the 2026 International Telecommunication Union Regional Development Forum in Victoria Falls are pushing for universal and affordable internet connectivity across Africa.
Today Forum is focusing on regional digital infrastructure, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence and sustainable funding for Africa's digital transformation. Zimbabwe's ICT, Postal and Courier Services Minister, Honorable Tatenda Mavetera, said Africa must move beyond being consumers of technology and become creators of digital solutions, while also highlighting Zimbabwe's plans to launch a communication satellite and expand internet access to schools across the country.
We are mobilizing over 200 million to launch our own communication satellites. This is not about prestige, but this is about sovereignty. This is what we're also aiming to do as Zimbabwe, to make sure that our citizens have got accessible, affordable, reliable connectivity in our own terms.
Backed by the technical blueprint finalized at the World Telecommunication Development Conference, the forum centers on 5 core regional initiatives spanning 2026 to the year 2029. These priorities push Africa to transition from a consumer of foreign algorithms into an architect of its own localized artificial intelligence ecosystems, while concurrently building climate-resilient infrastructure, strengthening cybersecurity, and digitalizing the informal business sector.
Our role is to have a human-centric approach and impact the ordinary woman, the ordinary man, the ordinary child, the ordinary person with a disability in a very remote rural area. So we have to bridge the urban-rural gap. Africa 2 regional initiative focuses on an inclusive artificial intelligence ecosystem. Africa must not be a consumer of algorithms built elsewhere. We must be the architects of ethical, localized AI.
The forum also includes a partner to connect matchmaking session linked to more than $82 billion US in global digital development pledges, and is expected to produce a regional roadmap for digital transformation between the year 2026 and 2029, with the focus on universal and affordable connectivity across Africa. Yolande Moyo, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
The role of the church in praying for the nation has been identified as vital in promoting national development, peace and unity. The details are from Peter Chivima.
Speaking on the sidelines of the official opening and legacy Big Sunday of Zayoja Forward in Faith Ministries International, South Lake Park Province, the church's leader, Dr. Joseph Jogu, said it is the duty of the church all over the world to pray for unity and peace.
We celebrate the unity of Africa. We're also saying to people, it is unity that has brought the birth and expansion of the work of God in the Church of God in general. And the Bible says in Genesis 11 verse 6, these people are one and they speak one language. Where there is unity, we are unstoppable. So even as Zayoja Forward in Faith in general worldwide, when we continue to walk in unity and love, we are unstoppable. We'll continue to open new provinces, new churches, and new nations will be raised out because we are walking in unity and love. And Babagut used to teach us to say, praying for unity, praying for the United Nations of Africa, so to speak.
The South Lake Park provincial branch is also expected to play a role in uniting the community as well as serving as a safeguard against the spread of drug and substance abuse.
We have programs for long-lasting counseling, whereby we have follow-up counseling to those coming out of drugs, because it's not a one-day meeting to say someone is delivered, because there are still habits that you need help, and the addictions are not easy to break, so you need continuous counseling, follow-up, weekly programs.
South Lake Park provincial branch overseer Samson Foya concurred with Dr. Guti on the need for the church and the government to continue working together.
Zvese zvainetsa zvangave kudhakwa, kungave umbavha, angave madrugs, nokuda kuti baba vedu vasvika muno, zvese izvozvo tiri kutarisira kuti zvatsikirirwa.
The pledge by Dr. Guti comes at a time when the church and the government are complementing each other. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Embracing and acceptance have become a weapon against stigma and discrimination in Beitbridge as HIV-positive community members form cooperatives to sustain their families.
This is Gogo Sibongile Chuma of Mtetengwe in Beitbridge. She has been on art for more than 15 years. At 75, she is still going strong. She is part of villagers on antiretroviral therapy who have become a shining example of how communities can work together in the fight to end AIDS by 2030 through various life-changing projects. Although her journey has not been easy, she is adamant that leading a positive life after testing positive to HIV is helping communities achieve the 95 targets.
Ndothomisa unadzipilisi nga 2012 ndichirwara ngamanda ndasibadira ndatoliwa ndafarirwa vulwadzi honoho ndasvika ndathomisa opuwa dzipilisi ndichino chendapiwa dzipilisi dzonedzo handiyava muthu anodzicherera ndonova mualuwa zvanga maraya ndikudzicherera anga ndiyakona nayo yatsimuni ndasvikavo ndalima ndataura.
Parents Banda, another member of the group looking after the group's poultry project, says the project has transformed her life.
Ratoma kuita ma20 every week. Ravana vatinoona every week richitora richirenga zvizviliwa. Rato radzura pasi vari kaizvisa dzinamubono uri ite project raita project yakuru. Kuda ri kudziita usvikira dzokwanisa ualuwa dzaremiswa in 6 weeks.
Kage akorotosa nga mapilisi nauri kana vapfa uchinga aungotodzanya zvavudi vakona uvona uri vangauthusa nga mini.
Kage anti idova ine muthu muthihi anoidzhiya so zviboleruwa kha vathu vanji.
Through the community anti-refill group CAG and sister-to-sister program, Beitbridge has managed to deal with stigma and discrimination of people living with HIV.
Even when there are village assembly meetings, they are given a slot to also to talk about HIV and AIDS, and also to talk about the need for people to be initiated on art, and also the issue to do with other service like the PrEP.
With these gains, the far and wide cry among authorities is on the need to sustain the gains made as the nation aims to end AIDS by 2030. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Beitbridge.
Government continues to empower learners in rural areas by availing internet services. We get more from the following report.
In line with President Emmerson Mnangagwa's mantra of leaving no one and no place behind, learners at Jopembe Primary School in Beitbridge District this Monday benefited Starlink kits from government.
Government internet rova risina zvidori tusaka uita dzomukidza vorine nawo uita ripase rikodiwa voripa Starlink uri chikoro cha Jopembe chikona kubvira pandanga pfunzo
zvidosiya zvichiita uri navana vashu vave naimwe ngudo kana mbonerwa panda ka internet yevarisira yona.
The Second Republic continues to bridge the digital divide between urban and rural learners through improving network connectivity in rural schools, a move appreciated by the local leadership.
So nasi rurumedzeriwa izvi zva internet chino chava chitu chinozobata chikoro chacho ngamanda kitlhage chikamata ka gore vana jwale va ta kgona uva le link ho dilo tse dintši tse dingwe tse ba ka le dia tša development.
We really thank His Excellency for giving us this Starlink, which I passed on to the community of Jopembe.
The availing of Starlink kits is in line with the Second Republic's move to strengthen the implementation of education policies that are aligned to the National Development Agenda and Vision 2030. Aifeli Mutau, ZBC News, Beitbridge.
Organizers of the Ekhaya Worship Festival say this year's Health Expo is aimed at promoting wellness and healthy living among community members in Bulawayo through provision of free medical services, health awareness campaigns, and community engagement activities ahead of the main worship event.
The Health Expo, held as part of activities leading to the Ekhaya Worship Festival this Monday evening, brought together health practitioners, wellness experts and the public for a day of free health screenings, consultations and awareness campaigns.
Sibuyile ke udokotela sesibabonile basipha lokho abasipha khona basihlola njalo.
Ngihamba lokubaba nomama abangaphilanga. Ngiyabonga kakhulu
kakhulukazi ngento eyenzakeleyo lapha ukuthi sithole ukuthi silachwe.
We help them in finding wheelchairs because some of them are quite old and they've got arthritis, they've got all sorts of disabling conditions.
We then came up with the idea to have a health expo, and people are coming. You know, they are seeing doctors, nurses, and it's for free. What we hope is that they You know, some people just stay at home and they don't even know that they have issues. But once they are seen, you know, and you may realize that there's something that you are already suffering with, which can actually be addressed as quickly as possible.
Festival organizers say the Health Expo is part of their broader vision of creating a festival that uplifts communities beyond music and worship.
Main News takes a breather. We will be back with business news.
The Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, Honorable Dr. Frederick M. Shaba, Deputy Minister, Honorable Simelisizwe Sibanda, the Permanent Secretary, Professor Fanuel Tagwira, Chief Directors and the entire ministry staff join His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, and the nation at large in commemorating Africa Day on Monday, 25 May 2026. As Zimbabwe joins other African nations in commemorating this important day, the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development reaffirms its commitment towards promoting African values, indigenous knowledge systems, culture and heritage through education, innovation and research. In line with the National Development Strategy 1 and Vision 2030, the ministry remains committed to producing graduates and innovators who are grounded in African values, capable of driving sustainable development and contributing meaningfully towards the industrialization and modernization of Zimbabwe and the African continent. Happy Africa Day, Zimbabwe.
From 11 June to 19 July, everything can wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026. Catch all 104 matches from as little as $10 live on SuperSport, only on DSTV.
The Minister of Agriculture, Mechanization and Water Resources Development, Honorable Dr. Anxious Jongwe Masuka, Deputy Minister, Honorable Davis Marapira, Permanent Secretary, Professor Dr. Obed Jiri, Chief Directors, Heads of Parastatals, Ministry and Parastatal staff join the President, His Excellency Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa and the nation in commemorating Africa Day. A food secure and self-sufficient Africa, driven by expanding intra-African trade in food and agriculture products, is achievable. The Ministry of Agriculture, Mechanization and Water Resources Development. Food security everywhere, every day.
Welcome back to the main news. We now take a look at our business. Now, Zimbabwe's industrialization drive is set to further gain impetus when the country hosts the inaugural Zimbabwe Industrialization Conference and Expo 2026 in Bulawayo in July. Our business reporter, Owen Mandova, gives us the details.
As the journey towards the industrialization of the economy continues, Zimbabwe is set to host the inaugural Zimbabwe Industrialization Conference and Expo at the end of July. This is the first ever conference which is set to put under the microscope the strides that have been made by government in order to industrialize the economy, strengthen several value chains, and also establish the challenges that are faced by the economy to attain modernization and full industrialization. This conference will be held by the Ministry of Industry and Commerce with partnership with the Africa Economic Development Strategies. Several business member organizations such as the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce, ZNCC, and other industry associations are also expected to grace this important conference, whereby several exhibitions will also be undertaken on the sidelines of this conference with the goal of ensuring that Zimbabwe attains its goal of an upper middle income economy by the year 2030.
Main news takes a short break. Do stay tuned.
Enter the Shumba Plus Raw and Ride promotion. Win motorbikes, hand plows, and sprayers when you buy 6 by 200 grams or 3 by 500 grams Shumba Plus Dust. Promotion runs from 1 April to 31 August at selected retailers and agro dealers nationwide. T's and C's apply.
Destination Hungary.
Europe's greatest stage awaits.
It's a game that really does underline the word champions. Parisian perfection.
Two giants remain as the eyes of the world turn to Budapest.
Oh, incredible!
Don't miss a moment with club football's biggest prize on the line.
Oh, wow! Have you ever seen football on this level?
Catch all the action on DSTV Access, only on SuperSport on DSTV.
Welcome back. We now take a look at sports news. The stage is set for another chapter in one of African football's emerging rivalries as Zimbabwe's Warriors prepare to face Nigeria's Super Eagles in the semi-finals of the Unity Cup at the Valley this Tuesday.
There is little to separate the two sides following their tense encounters in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, where both matches ended in 1-1 draws, leaving unfinished business between the two teams. This time, however, there will be no room for a stalemate with a place in the Unity Cup final at stake. The Warriors arrive in London full of confidence after assembling a full complement of players in camp ahead of the eagerly anticipated clash, with interim coach Kachano Tembo praising the mood and commitment within the squad.
I've been, impressed in terms of the attitude and the mentality that I've seen, in our training sessions in camp with the players that we have at the moment. Looking forward to the games, and I think we can only promise, us to go out there and give our best. Play some good entertaining football. We wish all our fans to come and support us.
Zimbabwe will be hoping to finally edge past the Super Eagles after twice proving they can match the West African giants stride for stride in the World Cup qualifiers. Nigeria, however, remain one of Africa's football powerhouses and will also be desperate to stamp their authority on the contest in front of what is expected to be a vibrant crowd in London. Lawrence Truseda, ZBC News, London.
Our Harare Giants Caps United are back at the top of the Casalaga Premier Soccer League log standings after they drew 0-0 with former champions FC Platinum in a match played at Tufaro Stadium this afternoon. Now, the two sides failed to find the back of the net, but the result leaves Caps United on 28 points, just one above second-placed Hard Rock. FC Platinum sit 9th on the log with 20 points from 14 matches.
Football stakeholders say more needs to be done to end acts of hooliganism that are threatening to dent the image of the local game. This comes after the Hard Rock Dynamos game was abandoned at Chawanda Stadium on Sunday due to crowd trouble.
Football is a family sport, and the writing is on the wall that the beautiful game should serve as a place for entertainment and a safe environment. After years of football recession, the fans are trekking back in stadium in full force, and individuals and corporates alike are singing the same hymn that football should be the ultimate winner through massive investment in infrastructure and sponsorship. Hardly without a full cycle in the playing season, infrastructure at Chawanda Stadium was severely threatened on Sunday, and precious lives put at risk as Hard Rock and Dynamo supporters clashed, prompting the abandonment of the match in the 70th minute. In the wake of the skirmishes, football stakeholders are calling for stiffer penalties to nip acts of hooliganism in the bud.
We don't want that. We need to nip it at the bud. We are not merchants of violence at our football.
Ne violence akaita ne zero, I was not happy. I hope kuti pane zvinhu zvichaitwa nevakuru vedu kuti zvigadzirise kuti tisasangana nezvinhu zvakadaro.
There is no room for violence
in football. Absolutely no room. There is no room for violence on the stands, no room for violence on the pitch, even in the changing rooms. Let the matches be played in a peaceful, tranquil environment. Let us all sing songs as our teams compete, because it's only a contest. It's not a combat.
For the fans to react in that manner, it is uncalled for. Refs might make mistakes, but we need to respect every decision which is made by match officials.
There are also calls for football authorities to beef up security at match venues.
I think that the marshalling and the stewarding as well as the policing at our football grounds can be increased. It can be a lot more visible to ensure that fans know that if they commit any sort of offence, it becomes a problem for them. I think it should go to the extent of incarceration. I think as soon as we implement our sports integrity bill or law and it's enacted and there are consequences, real consequences for supporters.
The Zimbabwe Football Association has also condemned acts of violence following the incident, rallying the Premier Soccer League to act based on football statutes. Away from the fiasco, defending champions Scotland underlined their title credentials after beating Chicken in 2-0 at Barberfield Stadium. Herentals handed former champions Zimbabwe their biggest defeat so far after scoring 4 times to win 4-1. Wange's Platinum Stars hammered Bulawayo Chiefs 4-2. Triangle are still finding the going tough after falling 2-0 to Moz at home. Mthokozi Dube, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Meanwhile, 4 suspects have been arrested following the violence that erupted during a football match between Hard Rock and Dynamos at Chawanda Stadium on Sunday.
The Zimbabwe Republic Police has confirmed the arrest of Chingrai Chivavare, 34, Matthias Taderera, aged 43, Tavakuda Nyon, 46, and Emmanuel Due, aged 50, in connection with the acts of violence and public disorder that occurred during the Premier Soccer League match between Hard Rock and Dynamos at Chawanda Stadium in Kwekwe on Sunday. In a statement released this Monday, police said the suspects were part of a group involved in violent disturbances after supporters from both teams allegedly hurled missiles onto the pitch and engaged in fighting, resulting in the match being abandoned. 7 supporters sustained injuries during the disturbances and were referred to hospital for treatment. Stadium infrastructure, including turnstiles and perimeter barricades, were also damaged during the skirmishes. The Zimbabwe Republic Police added that investigations are underway into circumstances that led to nearly 5,000 soccer fans remaining outside the stadium at kick-off time, while some later damaging infrastructure and forcing entry into the venue. The ZRP has also called on football authorities to prioritize effective stadium administration and public safety before matches commence. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Zimbabwe Saints were booted out of the inaugural Munomotapa Challenge Cup after going down 1-0 to Hwange in the second round of the Munomotapa Cup at the weekend.
Premier Soccer League outfit Hwange are utilizing their sabbatical to assemble a formidable side which will challenge for honours in the top flight. Hwange, who are in command in the ZIFA Southern Region Division 1, received a major boost after putting out Zimbabwe Saints in the Premier Munomotapa Knockout Tournament, courtesy of a 1-0 scoreline. Despite the early setback, Zimbabwe Saints chairperson Tawanda Ruzia says they are grateful for participating in the Munomotapa tournament, with their ultimate focus being to safeguard their Southern Region slot.
The team has been put together. As we see, we're playing here. We're very happy for the season just to get started, but we know it won't be like challenging for championship this time because we came a bit late. We're just trying to put our house in order. We're also waiting for our sponsor to come through, but the preparations, major preparations are for next year. This season we just want to stabilize and just bring the league.
Hwange are playing each game like a cup final, and their focus is to seal it with a game to spare.
Every competition kumele ukuthi sibonakale sikhona. So siqhakathekisa kakhulu ama games awe Premier League and nxa sikhangela iMunomotapa Cup, it is a premier knockout in the country. so siyithatha layo njenge-competition eqakatheke just as much as our league matches.
Imbizo, Aquastars, Jordan, Nkai Wange, Megawatt, BlackRock and Kami are through to the third round of the tournament. In the Eastern region, Greenfield are through to the next stage after a 3-0 drubbing of Power FC, while Yard and Buffaloes are still in contention. In the Central region, teams shelved the tournament for league matches where Gwanda Pirates claimed the scalp of Dulibadzimu United. In the Northern region, focus was on league matches where Oden thrashed Batanai 4-1 and Marere 8 Harare 2-1. Mtokozi Stube, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
That wraps up sport. It's now time to take a look at the weather report.
Good evening, Zimbabwe, and thank you for joining us in today's edition of the Weather Report and Forecast. Hope you had a restful, long weekend. Now, getting into the weather this morning, Masvingo and much of the northeastern districts had cloudy and cool conditions accompanied by light rain and showers in areas such as Macheke, in Henderson, and in Mukandi. Though by afternoon, it was partly cloudy and warm over much of the country, with mostly sunny conditions prevailing over the Matabeleland provinces. These mostly sunny and warm conditions should prevail over much of the country for early next week, especially tomorrow on Monday. Getting into our minimum temperatures tonight, it should be cool over much of the country, especially over the main watershed, with cold temperatures in Gweru, 9 degrees Celsius, and in Bulawayo with 10 degrees Celsius. Should be a bit more mild in Kariba with 17. And for maximum temperatures tomorrow, it should be warm nationwide, although a bit warmer in Kariba with 30, and in Victoria Falls as well with 28, and a bit more chilly in Gweru with a maximum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius. For detailed forecast in Bulawayo, it should be cold in the morning, becoming mild to warm in the afternoon with some light winds. In Matobo, cold in the morning, becoming a bit mild in the afternoon, maximum of 24, though we should see a drop in temperatures by the weekend with a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 23. In Gwanda, should be cold in the morning as well, becoming warm by afternoon with plenty of sunshine. In Gweru, chilly in the morning, minimum of 9, though mild by afternoon with plenty of sunshine and some light winds time and time again, with a drop in temperatures as well by the weekend. In Masvingo, it should be mild daytime temperatures, though with a cold morning and plenty of sunshine. In Mutare, cold in the morning as well, becoming warm by afternoon with some light winds, and a drop in temperatures, a slight drop in temperatures by Monday next week. In Yanga, should be very cold in the morning. We'll definitely need a jacket, and a bit more mild by afternoon with a maximum of 20 degrees Celsius. In Marondera, should be cold as well, becoming much warmer by afternoon for Tuesday. In Harare, should be cold in the morning, minimum of 11 with a maximum of 24 degrees Celsius. In Kadoma for Tuesday, should be warm daytime temperatures, although a bit cooler in the morning. In Chinhoyi, warm daytime temperatures as well with some cold mornings. This should persist for much of the week. In Victoria Falls, it should be warm daytime conditions right across that forecast period with some cool mornings. In Lupane, minimum of 11 and a maximum of 28 with plenty of sunshine and light winds time and time again. In Bindura, minimum of 12 with a maximum of 26 for Tuesday afternoon and plenty of sunshine throughout the day. In Kariba, a bit of cloud here and there for tomorrow, though warm throughout the day, minimum of 17 and a maximum of 29. This has been our weather report and forecast. Thank you for tuning in, and it's back to the main desk.
Well, many thanks to the Met Department for the weather report. And that concludes the main news from the news desk and the crew behind the scenes. Good night.